Welcome to the Sleep Dives channel. Have you ever had a brilliant plan that just, well, fizzled out when it met reality? We're diving back into Steve Pereira's flow engineering to look at exactly that problem. We're going beyond just making a plan. We're talking about the blueprint for turning that plan into real, sustained improvement by using powerful principles and, crucially, the right kind of leadership.
So here's what we're going to cover. We'll start with the tangible stuff, getting your roadmap finalized. Then we'll get our hands on a compass for the journey ahead. We'll walk through the 5 core principles of flow, one by one. And finally, we'll pull it all together by looking at the leadership needed to make any of this actually happen.
All right, first things first, let's get practical. It's time to take all those fantastic insights from your mapping sessions and forge them into a solid plan, a flow roadmap. This is what gives your team a shared vision and, a clear path forward.
To make a roadmap actually work, it really boils down to 2 things. First, every single action needs an owner, and I mean a person, not a committee. Second, you need a simple way to see if you're making progress. And look, this doesn't have to be some crazy complex dashboard. It can be as simple as a checkbox. Liaison assigned? Check. Use cases documented? Check. The goal here is clarity, not getting bogged down in complexity.
So the big takeaway here is this. The goal is not a perfect 5-year plan detailed down to the last minute. It's about getting just enough clarity to take the very next confident step. You want to focus on the now. Give someone ownership and trust them to figure out the how. What we're after is momentum, not some perfect project plan that will be out of date next week anyway.
Okay, so with a roadmap in hand, we've got our what. But a map's not much good without a compass, right? Especially when the terrain gets rough. Now we need our why, the set of guiding principles that will keep us heading true north no matter what.
This quote from Harrington Emerson just nails it, doesn't it? Methods, tools, tactics, they change all the time. But principles, they're the timeless truths that guide you. In a complex world, a rigid playbook is brittle. It's going to break. But a solid set of principles, that empowers everyone to make smart choices on their own.
And this table shows the 2 different ways of looking at this. The old way, the prescriptive way, sees an organization as a machine. You control it from the center with a detailed playbook. The generative approach, which is what flow engineering is all about, sees it as a living system. You can't control it, but you can guide it with principles, which makes it way more adaptive and resilient to change. So let's actually dig into these principles. The first 2 are really the foundation. They set our destination, what do we even mean by value, and they make sure we're looking at the whole journey, not just one tiny piece of it.
Principle 1, specify value. This is so important. Value is not something that you get to decide it is. It's a feeling, an experience that your customer has. And because it's subjective, because it changes, the only way to really understand it is to be in constant conversation with the people experiencing it.
Then comes principle 2, map the value stream. Thinkers like W. Edwards Deming were talking about this decades ago. You can't just improve one part of a system in isolation and expect everything to get better. In fact, you can actually make things worse. The only way to make a real improvement is to map the entire system and understand how all the pieces interact with each other. Okay, this is where it gets really interesting. Principle 3, create flow. This is all about making work move smoothly and predictably through your system. And the secret to doing this, well, it's often the exact opposite of what you think. Just take a look at this chart. This is the hidden reality for so many of us. The total time it takes to get something done is completely dominated not by the work itself, but by all the time it spends just sitting around, waiting. Waiting in a queue, waiting for a review, just waiting. In this example, wait time is more than 80% of the total time. That is the enemy of flow.
And this brings us to what's often called the efficiency paradox. We're taught to think that being efficient means keeping everyone busy all the time. That's resource efficiency. But when everyone is 100% busy, there's no slack. The system gets clogged. The real goal is flow efficiency, getting one single piece of work from start to finish as fast as possible. You have to optimize for the work, not for keeping the workers busy.
So, how do we improve flow? The answer lies in this powerful idea from Eli Goldratt called the theory of constraints. It's built on a mind-blowing idea. Any complex system only has one single bottleneck at any given time. And here's the kicker. Improving anything that isn't the bottleneck is a complete waste of time. So the process is simple and focused. First, you identify that one constraint. Then, you exploit it. Get every ounce of productivity out of it. Next, you subordinate everything else in the system to support that constraint. Only then do you think about elevating it, like buying a new machine or hiring someone. And once you've fixed it, you repeat the process, because a new bottleneck will have appeared somewhere else.
All right, let's move on to our final 2 principles. These are all about how we manage the work that's coming into our system and how we adopt a mindset of always learning and always getting better.
Principle 4 is about establishing a pull system. So instead of pushing work onto your team based on a guess or a forecast, work is only pulled into the system when there's a real need for it, and just as importantly, when the team actually has the capacity to start it. It's the best way to stop building stuff that nobody wants.
Now, the secret to making a pull system a reality is limiting your work in progress, or WIP. I know, this feels completely wrong. Our gut tells us to start everything at once. But doing less at the same time lets you finish more and finish it faster. It cuts down on that killer context switching, it shines a giant spotlight on your real bottlenecks, and it forces you to have those tough conversations about what's really important.
And the 5th and final principle, pursue perfection. Now, hold on, this isn't about reaching some impossible, flawless state. It's about being on a relentless, continuous journey of improvement. It means thinking like a scientist. You have a hypothesis, you run an experiment, you learn from the result. And absolutely none of that is possible without psychological safety, an environment where people feel safe enough to try things and, yes, to be wrong.
So at this point, we have our plan and we have our principles. But let's be honest, they're just ideas on a page without leadership. This final piece is about the how. How do leaders actually turn all of this into a consistent daily practice? The main tool for a leader is the feedback loop. Think of it like steering a ship. You've got your macro loops, big picture stuff like customer feedback, that tell you if you're even heading for the right continent. And then you have your micro loops, internal things like quality standards, that help you make those tiny course corrections every day to stay on track. Real, lasting success doesn't come from some massive, heroic effort. It comes from consistency. It means setting up a simple rhythm, daily, weekly, monthly check-ins. It means keeping things simple. Just do one thing, build some confidence, then do the next thing. And maybe most importantly, it requires humility. It requires leaders to admit that they don't have all the answers and that the whole point is for the team to learn together.
So we'll leave you with a question to take back with you. This is the very first step in the theory of constraints, and it's the start of creating real flow. So ask yourself and ask your team, what is the one single thing limiting our ability to deliver value right now? If you can find that, you've found your starting point.